Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am RPG Lover, and welcome back to another calm and relaxing video discussing video games. If you're here wondering, oh RPG Lover, why has your upload schedule been slowly getting slower and slower and slower over time? Well, I'm going to address that at the end of this video. If you just care about that, skip to the time shown on screen. But as for currently, for those of you interested, yes, we're talking about Persona today, because I have some thoughts and predictions about Persona's 25th anniversary and what they may or may not reveal. Because I love Atlus, and I love their games, and I want to play more of them. I've only played, so far from Atlus's catalogue, I've only played and finished Persona 5, Persona 5 Royal, Persona 5 Strikers, and Catherine Full Body. Now, I love every single one of these games. Like, they are some of the closest games to my heart personally, because they speak to me in a way that other RPGs don't. Their stories are incredible. The UI design is so smooth. You can tell it's good UI when you don't even notice any issues with it for over 120 hours. So, instead of me just appreciating the game for 20 or 30 minutes straight, I'm here to discuss what we could see potentially announced this December at Persona's 25th anniversary. Now, do keep in mind, Atlus is still getting used to being a fairly large company. They are not quite used to having like 5 or 6 games being announced at once. So don't think it's going to be nearly as large as something like Mario 3D All-Stars or like the Zelda's anniversary. Like they deserve more games. With Persona, it's a bit more niche, a bit less known among the wider community of gamers, but it's interesting. Number 1 in terms of predictions. Oh, and by the way, I say predictions, this is more a mixture of predictions and hopes. So, the first prediction / hope is, well, it's obvious. Persona 6 being announced. I have a funny feeling that this will happen. Not just because I predicted Dragon Quest XII to be announced in my Dragon Quest video. Go watch that if you haven't already. But Persona 5 came out in 2016 in Japan, and then 2017 over here in North America and Europe. It's been about 4 years since then, and I think that's enough time for the Persona 5 ship to sail, and we're ready to at least get an announcement of 6. Now, am I expecting gameplay? No. Am I expecting all of the characters? No. All I'd want to see from Persona 6 is the logo being announced, hopefully with the colour green, because every Persona game, if you look at the games individually, they each have a theme which ties in with their colour. With 3 you had blue, with 4 you had yellow or gold, and then with 5 you had red. So 6 could be green. 6 could also be rainbow, potentially. Imagine that. Or white. Or black, even. So we'd get the logo. We might get a visual image of what the theme could be. With Persona 5's announcement, there were a bunch of chains attached to chairs, if I remember correctly, showing the theme of rebellion. So, in my opinion, they could go with freedom, maybe as a theme, or They could go with underrepresentation of certain cultures as a theme, like an ugly duckling style approach. But yeah, they could announce just the logo, saying that it's in development. My guess would it would be 2024, and then maybe the battle theme, if we're lucky. So that's the first one. That would be the big one that they've got to do eventually. Even if they don't do it as an announcement in December this year, they have to announce Persona 6 eventually. The series is huge now. It's beaten Shin Megami Tensei easily. So number 2, and I'm going to sandwich these two together, is a Persona 4 Golden port to modern consoles. So whether that's PS5, PS4, Switch, even Xbox, potentially. And then Persona 3 Definitive Edition on modern consoles. With Persona 4, I think it really deserves another chance, in my opinion. I'm not saying that people received it poorly. People love the game. That's clear enough. The issue is if you don't play games on PC and don't own a PC powerful enough, and you want to play it on a console like me, you don't really have any good options for anything besides Persona 5. Persona 4 is only available on the PS Vita, which is not a great system. It's quite rare now because it didn't sell very well because Sony didn't push it enough, and the 3DS just had better games, better software. And then you could get the original P4, but that's on the PS2. Now granted, getting a PS2 isn't hard. I mean, it's the most successful console of all time, so it's really not hard to get one for cheap as well. But getting games on it, especially older RPGs that were more niche, is next to impossible. You're looking at games that are costing hundreds of pounds, hundreds of dollars, hundreds of euros. It's quite insane. Also, that's the same situation with Persona 3. So it just makes sense to put their older games on modern hardware now that the audience has grown thanks to P5. And if you're a real fan of RPGs, you're not going to care that much about how P4 and P3 don't look as good as P5. I don't really care that much about graphics as long as it has a good story and good gameplay. That's all that really matters. So P4 just makes sense, and it's definitely the prediction I have the most confidence in, because only last year we already got Golden on the PC, which has never happened before. We've never gotten a Persona game on PC. That is a huge step. Now, Persona 3 is more tricky, because you have Persona 3, the original, which is just inferior, because it had less content, and it didn't have as many features, and the story was shorter. Then you have Persona 3 Portable and Persona 3 Fez. They are two different games, generally, and they each have their own advantages. One of them, you can play as a female protagonist. You can pick between male or female. You don't have to be the edgelord male with blue hair. Or you could pick the other game, which includes extra story content, a new party member, and I believe, I may be wrong on this, I'll have to double check, but you can command your party much better in one of the games. But Fez and Persona 3 Portable are both good games, but neither of them have everything. That's why I think Atlus should do a Persona 3 Definitive Edition. We don't need any additional features, really. Maybe just bring up the resolution a little bit. But just combine the elements of both games. I mean, Persona 5's already got DLC for Persona 3 and 4 included. So why not? Why not just put the games on? It's probably not that hard. The Switch is already a portable console. And you got Persona 3 Portable. It just makes sense, you know? There's so many games that they could just re-release and it would sell really well. In the modern age, remakes and re-releases of video games sell surprisingly well, sometimes more so than straight-up new games and new IPs. Now, the third thing that I'm expecting is the cash grab option, which is something Persona 5 related, because everyone loves P5, many people think it's the best in the series, many people were introduced to the series through P5, and to be fair, it is the prettiest of the Personas. And it's going to get another spin-off, in my opinion, but it's going to be Persona 5 Arena. I mean, Persona 4 had Persona 4 Arena, and there's been rumours for years about Persona 5 getting an Arena game. It would just complete the circle, you know? It just makes sense. But what I think will be the other Persona 5 announcement that will be the bigger deal is the original Persona 5 on Switch. And I know that's not an easy thing to say, because the Switch fans have made the community a bit more toxic, but then again, every community has that aspect of toxicity. But at the end of the day, you have Strikers on the Switch, but you don't have the original game. Strikers, in my opinion, I haven't made a video on yet, but I finished it months and months ago. And it is a sequel. It is a sequel to the events of the first Persona 5 game. So why just release Strikers on Switch when Switch players won't have played the first game? It only makes sense. And we know the Switch is capable of running Persona, but since it was developed for the PS3 initially. So those are my general predictions. As for how hopes go, we could have a completely left field, left wing game announcement, and because my mind's a bit gone still, because I'm still thinking about the recent Nintendo Direct. Remember how they announced a Chocobo racing game? Well, considering that's been announced, why not do the same with Persona? Why not make a racing game? Why not? I don't see an issue. Another go-kart racer in the mix sounds great. The only massive one currently is Mario Kart. Sonic's there with All-Stars and Team Sonic Racing, but besides die-hard Sonic fans, not many people are playing it. You have Crash Team Racing, which was remade, but that, at the end of the day, that's a remake. And in my opinion, most of the modern Crash Bandicoot fans aren't newcomers. They aren't young kids. They're people who played the original games on the PlayStation, who have grown older now. No, I'm thinking Persona crossover. Come on. Make a racing game where you, instead of item boxes, you pick up Personas to use to debuff, buff, or stun your opponents. You could have racetracks based on Shibuya. You could have a racetrack based on some of the indoor schools. You could have it based on some of the palaces, like Kamoshida. I mean, there's so much potential. And some of the Persona 5 voice actors already have experience with racing in general. If you didn't know, the voice actor for Iwai is the same voice actor for Ichiban Kasuga in Yakuza Like a Dragon. And guess what? In Yakuza Like a Dragon, there's a racing minigame. And a lot of the Persona 5 voice actors also acted in Yakuza Like a Dragon. Like, you have Goro Akechi, whose voice actor Robbie Daymond also voices Zhao, who's also a party member in Like a Dragon. Without going too much into Yakuza, there's a lot of potential. And now I'm just thinking of other potential ideas. You could have a Persona 1 or 2 remake collection. Maybe like Resident Evil 1, 2 and 3 being remade. That could be announced. Because in my opinion, Persona 1 and 2, we wouldn't have the 3 big games of the modern day without the first Persona games. I know the Persona community likes to act like they didn't exist, but the truth is they did. They invented the Persona, well, not really a genre, but they gave life to a new IP for Atlus. The only issue is they're even older than games like Persona 3, meaning they're only on the PS1. It's really, really difficult to find copies of those games, especially in Europe. Our history with Atlus has been rocky up until Persona 5, really. We haven't had nearly as many games. So Atlus, if you're listening, if you want to make your audience grow, just experiment. And if you need time to work on Persona 6, which you probably will because you want to make it beautiful and amazing, that means you're gonna need to release a few games in between Persona 5 Strikers and Persona 6. Maybe next year, in 2022, you release ports of your older games. You don't even have to really try that hard. You just need to code in like what buttons do what, and then maybe 2023 you announce a spin-off that comes out which is similar assets to Persona 5, but you just make it on the new consoles, you know? It's not nearly as difficult as making a brand new sequel. So there's a lot of potential, and I know this is a Persona video, not an Atlus video, but you could always potentially make a sequel to Catherine. I know they considered that in the past, and as someone who started with Persona 5 and then went to Catherine full body, I really think Persona 5 fans should give it a go, because it is a genuinely great and unique puzzle game. I've never played a single puzzle game like it with the story. It's not too long, so that's a plus. Now, what else could we have? Okay. Let's do a quick fire round of potential Persona announcements, because it is a 25th anniversary, so that deserves a big celebration. You could have many games. I don't expect to have more than 5 announcements maximum. But in terms of quickfire, you could have a Persona game in the style of Fire Emblem, have it turn-based strategy instead. You could have a Persona 5 spin-off where you play as Morgana alone, and Morgana has to find more purpose, and he finally moves on from Lady Anne, you know? You could have a Persona 5 crossover, a bit like something like Mario and Rabbids, except you could mix Persona characters with SMT characters. How about that? You release that alongside Shin Megami Tensei 5, that would be incredible. That would help convert fans to appreciate both sides of your IPs. You could have a just any kind of game. You could have a tower defense game if, for all you wanted. You could have another Persona 5 Strikers game, but instead of Persona 5, it's Persona 4 Strikers or Persona 3 Strikers, or even Persona 1 and 2 Strikers. There's so much potential for these series, because in my opinion, as long as the story is good and has a good coherent flow and rhythm between the first Persona 5 and Persona 5 Strikers, you could do that for the other games. So there's really a lot of potential here, and I think we're gonna have a massive announcement, because the Persona community has never been this large before. It's incredible. It's honestly spectacular. And just like with Dragon Quest this year, we got a lot of announcements from Dragon Quest from their 35th anniversary back in May that fans have been dreaming of for years. We're getting a Dragon Quest 3 remake. We're getting Dragon Quest X offline, which, if it is offline, that could potentially be given to us over in the West someday. I'm not holding out too much hope for it, but that's still insane. And there's worldwide simultaneous releases for that. So the same could apply to Persona. We could have worldwide releases. And I'm not joking about that. I am being 100% serious. There's reason to be excited, okay? Just trust me, Atlus has got something good up their sleeve. Now, on to my channel and its direction, and I'll be brief. I will give you a life update. If you're wondering why I sound a bit quieter than usual, that's because I've moved to university now. I am in a completely different place, completely different setting, so if the sound is a bit different to my previous videos, that is why. I'm going to be here for a long time now, which means I'm on my own. It means I'm getting food for myself, working for myself, studying on my own. And the issue with that, it's great, don't get me wrong, I love this life. However, it does mean I have to prioritize my time. Now, this doesn't mean I'm quitting YouTube. Don't worry. I love you all, and I'm incredibly grateful for what you've given me, the chances you've given me. But at the end of the day, I have to prioritize what's gonna help me make it in life. And at the moment, that's my course and getting a decent job that's stable for an income, because I don't really earn anything, or if enough at all, from YouTube, which does mean I have less time, because I want to savor these next few years, which means I have less time to make videos, which is why I don't want you to expect a full-blown, massive, high-production video absolutely every week. Don't get me wrong, I'm still trying to make weekly videos, but they might be more like this, more relaxed, more chill. I am working on a scripted one that is also Persona related, so don't worry, that's coming out soon. However, if I do end up missing a week or can't upload weekly as frequently, that's why. But I do have stuff planned, and I really hope you look forward to that. Anyways, that's all I've got to say for now. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.